Good morning, Wall Street winners. It is Wednesday, October 30th, and we have received some great results after market close yesterday from Google. Google just killed it on both a revenue and earnings perspective and future guidance. This is a company that is super strong, and I'll get back to them in just a minute when we go through the companies and what's been going on with earnings. But what we can see on the Bloomberg here in the Bloomberg app is the US economy continues to power on. The consumer is super resilient. Job numbers have been very positive today, and jobless claims have been very positive today and this week. So everything's looking like it's firing on all cylinders, which tells me that the current administration is actually doing a fairly decent job, despite all of the rhetoric out there saying otherwise. What we can see is that all three of the market indices in the US are in the red. The NASDAQ was in the green earlier, and that was probably thanks to some of the amazing tech results that came out after hours yesterday and that have come in pre-market this morning. But if we turn our attention back over to the Yahoo Finance app, what we'll see here is that crude oil is up. It's up more than it has been this morning. It's just spiked and come off of a bit of a spike, but it's up $1.15. So it's coming off of that the lower level that it's hit. I think it's coming off of a bottom and it's starting to make a recovery, albeit very, very slowly. And a lot of that recovery is going to be due to a couple of things. First, it's going to be dependent on the US election because the Republicans are more in favor of drilling in the US and increasing drilling in their nation. So locally, local production, and it will also have a lot to do with the tensions in the Middle East. We can see the VIX. The VIX is climbing, but it's still under 20, which is positive. And if we scroll down through our list of stocks we follow, health and retail got hit yesterday. Everything was really off and in the red yesterday. Healthcare was off as well for the most part, although HCA is starting to recover from that big drop after its earnings announcement and earnings miss. Costco was a great buying opportunity yesterday, and I hope you got into this one. I released a short yesterday during the first 30 minutes of the open. And that's when Costco dropped about $14-15 at open and provided a tremendous buying opportunity. It popped into the range that I alluded to in yesterday's video before the open that was a buy signal. And then it started to make its way back. And within about an hour or 2 hours, it reached the level at which it basically closed at. And it presented an opportunity for a nice dollar and percentage gain in that company, and really a great entry point to get in and hold that for a little bit longer. I think we could see, as I talked about yesterday, the likes of Costco and Walmart taking a bit of a jump if we get to a point where election results are not confirmed and people become a bit of a take a bit of a hoarding mentality and ramp up some purchases in the event of uncertainty. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but we've seen it happen in the past, and it is a possibility. Scrolling down through to transport, really not following that. Oil had a tough day yesterday, looking like those oil stocks are rebounding today, thanks to crude being up about $1.20 right now. But tech is where it is yesterday and today. And really, tech is where it is down with the big Magnificent Seven. So we can see Meta was up $15 yesterday. It's up $10 pre-market. Meta announces after market today, and I expect Meta will blow away their numbers. They will just exceed their numbers similar to what Google did. And I think this stock will have a bit of a jump, but based on its run up into earnings, I don't think the jump is going to be as great as Google's. And then you have the likes of Google, and Google just really blew it out of the water yesterday. They beat on earnings, they beat on revenue, they showed tremendous cloud growth going forward in their cloud business. They amped up their investment in AI from $8 billion a quarter a year ago to $13 billion a quarter this year. And they're up over $11 pre-market. So this was a stock that I was telling you to get into last week in the 164s. And if you did, you'd be looking at an almost $20 gain over a very short period of time. Now, that said, I'm cautioning you that it may be ideal for you to get out of this today in the 182 to 184 range and take your profits, because we do not know what's going to happen next week with the US election results. And that uncertainty has the potential to cause the markets to go up or down quite significantly. And you want to be mitigating your risk here. Now, one stock I do like, a couple of stocks I like today, certainly like Meta. Microsoft also announces today, and they've had a nice run up. They were up 5.5 yesterday to 431, so they're kind of at their upper range. Looks like they're going to be up 8 in the pre-market and at open, so that's going to take them close to 440. I think on good earnings at the end of the day, after hours today, they could get up into the 450, 455 range. But I think that's kind of the upper limit based on the run up. So, and to do that, they're going to have very strong results that beat expectations across the board: earnings, revenue, and future forecast. And they're going to have to keep their spending in their capital expenditures in line with what they had budgeted for. So the other interesting thing coming out of Google with AI. So these are the types of things that we're looking to hear from companies. So how is Google benefiting from AI? Well, one of the very interesting statements they made today was that 25% of new code written at Google is written by AI. That is an incredible statement to hear out of Google as a leader in the tech space. And I think we're going to start to hear similar things out of the likes of software companies like Meta, like Microsoft, like Salesforce, as we start to get results into this quarter. Now we scroll down to financials, and SoFi had a horrific day yesterday, even after great results. But this is an example of where, as a stock heads into earnings, if it reaches an all-time high heading into earnings, the earnings and future forecasts are going to have to be spectacular in order for that stock to keep going up and topping those already existing all-time highs that they're at. So this is where you wanted to take your profits. If you saw a huge run up into earnings, you have to assume that earnings may not meet the expectations of analysts, and there may be a bit of a pullback. And this is a great example to learn from going into the tech earnings today when the market opens in about 20 minutes. Take your profits in Google in the first 30 minutes as you watch what that stock does. Now we get down into the bigger boys: JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Goldman, all of which had off days really kind of yesterday. I mean, not great days. Morgan Stanley, Goldman pretty much even, and all of them in the red going into the day. But I think that's going to turn. I think that you're seeing Goldman has kind of found its new trading envelope in the 520 to 535 range. Morgan Stanley, certainly at its high up at the 120s. I think it has the potential to drop down into the 110, 105 range as we get through the November cycle and into December when there's a bit of a reshuffle. And even JP Morgan's kind of hit its peak up in the mid 220s and should pull back into the 205 to 210 range. One of the other things that I forgot to mention as we go back up to tech about Meta is there are rumors that what we might hear coming out of Meta today is a potential stock split. This is a stock that hasn't split in quite a while, if ever. And I think that we've seen NVIDIA, we've seen Broadcom, we've seen Supermicro, we've seen a number of companies, Amazon, have stock splits in the last couple of years. And I think at $600 a share or thereabouts, we may not be getting the retail attention unless you're buying fractional shares. And that may be a justification or incentive for Mark Zuckerberg and the Facebook team to maybe consider a stock split. So that could be something that comes out in the news today and the after hours announcement. So keep an eye out for that. And then its price will fall in line with some of the other big players here. So that's where we are on October 30th. I hope you're liking these videos. And if you are, please subscribe to the channel, leave me a like and a comment. Good luck.